a diamond ring, a beautiful young woman, a complete stranger driving through the night looking for drugs. These three elements converged in a horrifying tragedy on Labor Day weekend 2003 in Las Cruces, New Mexico. But what's even more terrifying than Katie Sepich's death is the fact that her killer had been in police custody just 3 months later, only to be released due to a fatal gap in the law. The question is, can justice arrive so late that it becomes injustice? And what can a grieving family do to change an entire nation's justice system? Welcome to the Case Files, where we reopen shocking criminal cases, analyze every detail, and search for the truth behind mysteries that captivate us. Today, we're diving deep into a case that not only shook the Las Cruces student community, but also permanently changed the American criminal justice system. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Katie Sepich murder case, when justice came 3 years too late and a legal legacy was born from pain. Part 1. A young woman with a bright future. Las Cruces, New Mexico, a small, peaceful city with a modest population, where everyone knows each other and life moves slowly under 350 days of sunshine each year. The city comes alive every fall when 25,000 students return to New Mexico State University, NMSU, in the heart of town. This was where Katie Sepich chose to begin her journey into adulthood. Katie Sepich, 22, wasn't just an outstanding final-year MBA student at NMSU. She was an exceptional person in the eyes of her friends and family. Amy Barnhart, Katie's close friend, once recalled, "She wasn't just beautiful, she was incredibly humble. Katie was willing to laugh at herself, to be the butt of jokes, but she did it with such grace that everyone ended up laughing with her." Beyond her studies, Katie worked part-time at the popular Mexican restaurant El Sombrero Patio Cafe on South Espina Street. She lived with 2 roommates and maintained a loving relationship with Joe Bischoff, a biochemistry student. They were engaged, and Katie wore the diamond ring Joe had given her as a symbol of their love and commitment. Katie's life seemed to be heading in the right direction, but everything would change on one fateful night. Part 2. The Fateful Night, August 30th, 2003. Over Labor Day weekend 2003, Joe Bischoff came from his hometown of Gallup to visit Katie in Las Cruces. On the evening of August 30th, after finishing her shift at the restaurant, Katie and her close friend Veronica Cordova got changed and headed to a student party. The bar's security camera captured images of Katie and Joe holding hands, looking genuinely happy. But the joy didn't last long. At the party, Katie caught Joe kissing another girl. The sight devastated her. Not wanting to ruin the party's atmosphere, Katie decided to leave alone around 2 or 3 a.m. on August 31st. In her anger and heartbreak, she left behind her purse containing her phone, keys, and wallet at the party. The distance from the party location to Katie's house was just over 1 kilometer, a short walk through what seemed like a safe neighborhood. But that night, fate had arranged a horrifying encounter. Joe and Katie's 2 roommates all stayed overnight at the party, unaware that she had left. One roommate's mother was asleep in the house, completely oblivious to the tragedy unfolding just outside the bedroom window. Part 3. The Horrifying Discovery. On Sunday morning, August 31st, 2003, Katie's mother, Katie Sepich, received a call from her daughter's neighbor. The person asked if she knew where Katie was because no one could find her. "From the moment I woke up that morning, I had an uneasy feeling. Call it a mother's intuition," Jayan recalled. Katie's roommate immediately reported her missing after being unable to reach her. They called local hospitals, but got no results. An hour after receiving the missing person report, police received a shocking notification from another scene. That same morning, 2 target shooters discovered the body of a young woman at an abandoned landfill on the outskirts of Las Cruces. The scene was gruesome. The body was unclothed, lying face down, nearly naked, without underwear. This immediately led police to believe the victim had been sexually assaulted. The victim had numerous wounds and abrasions, signs that she had fought back fiercely. More disturbingly, her back and parts of her body were burned. The killer had clearly poured gasoline and attempted to incinerate the body to destroy evidence. Fortunately, the fire didn't spread extensively, leaving enough evidence for the forensic examination. The initial cause of death was determined to be strangulation. However, there were no signs of struggle at the landfill scene, proving the victim was killed elsewhere and then transported there to be dumped. Katie's father, Dave Sepich, went to the morgue to identify the body. When he confirmed it was his daughter, he dropped to his knees in unbearable anguish. "I fell to my knees right there," he recalled. The Sepich family entered the worst nightmare any parent could experience, but they vowed not to stop until they found the killer. Part 4. The initial investigation, suspecting the boyfriend. Lieutenant Mike Mayer and Police Chief Robert Zone quickly got to work. According to homicide investigation protocol, those closest to the victim are typically the first suspects to examine. In this case, Joe Bischoff, the boyfriend who had argued with Katie right before she disappeared, naturally became the focus of the investigation. Police immediately checked the entire route from the party to Katie's house. They knocked on every door, questioned every person, but no one had seen or heard anything unusual that night. The first clue emerged when investigators discovered Katie had apparently made it home, but hadn't gotten inside. The bedroom window was locked, but the reflector outside wasn't in its proper position. Nearby, they found Katie's 2 shoes, one near a bush, the other near the window, as if she had been dragged away while trying to get into the house. More importantly, on the gravel driveway in front of the house, police discovered clear signs of a struggle. The scratches on Katie's back matched gravel embedded in the victim's body. This confirmed Katie had been attacked and abducted right at her home. During questioning, police discovered Joe had hidden some important details. First, he didn't tell police or Katie's mother about kissing another girl, which led to the argument with Katie. Later, Joe admitted he had driven after Katie to her house, but only watched from a distance to make sure she got home safely, without approaching or knocking on the door. Another strange detail. When Katie's phone rang in the purse she'd left at the party, Joe was holding it, but still kept calling that number until the next morning when he already knew she was missing. Despite holding Katie's phone in his hand, he deliberately kept calling. Behavior police suspected was an act to create an alibi. Joe then refused to cooperate further. He left for his hometown within days of Katie's death, hired a lawyer, and didn't even attend her funeral. Actions that deeply hurt Jayan and made many others suspicious. Part 5. DNA evidence. The key to solving it. Police collected DNA from 3 locations on Katie's body, especially skin and blood samples from under her fingernails, evidence showing she had fought back decisively. Test results showed all belonged to a single male individual. The sample quantity was sufficient for comparison and identification of the perpetrator. But Joe continued to refuse to voluntarily submit a DNA sample. Police had to use legal measures to compel him to be tested. While waiting, they checked files of unsolved sexual assault cases, searched the National CODIS, Combined DNA Index System, database, but found no matching DNA. They began collecting samples from every male student who had been at the party, around 30-40 people. Everyone agreed to cooperate except Joe. To eliminate suspicion, police checked Katie's bedsheets, since they knew she and Joe had been intimate that night. The DNA on the bedsheets didn't match the DNA obtained from the body. When police presented this evidence to his lawyer, Joe finally agreed to submit a sample. The results confirmed he was completely innocent. His reason for initially refusing was fear that his DNA would be present on Katie from sexual intercourse, causing him to be misunderstood. But Joe's silence and abnormal behavior had prolonged the case beyond expectations, wasting precious time. Although Joe was eliminated as a suspect, police still hadn't found the real killer. And what worried them most, this might be a serial killer or someone on the path to becoming one. Part 6. The Missing Ring and Tire Tracks. On the night Katie was murdered, many witnesses confirmed seeing her wearing the diamond engagement ring Joe had given her at the party. But during the autopsy, forensic experts didn't find the ring or any other jewelry. The diamond ring had vanished. Had the killer taken it as a trophy? If he sold it or pawned it for money, the ring surely would have appeared at a pawn shop somewhere. Police checked all pawn shops in the city but found no trace. Police returned to the scene where the body was found and discovered tire tracks, an extremely important detail. Based on the tire tread pattern, investigators determined the manufacturer and matching vehicle type, a type of tire commonly fitted on pickup trucks. They reviewed all traffic violation records on the night of the murder, but found no pickup trucks among them. With millions of pickup trucks on the road, finding that specific vehicle was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, they didn't know if the killer was local or just passing through Las Cruces. The case hit a dead end. Time passed, and fear still gripped the Las Cruces student community. Part 7. A similar case in Green Bay. Nearly a year later, police in Green Bay, Wisconsin reported a strikingly similar case. A woman was raped and burned just like Katie. However, there was one crucial difference. The victim survived. Hope rekindled. If the Green Bay victim could identify the perpetrator, Katie's case might also be solved. The two cases occurred in different states, but shared the same modus operandi. People immediately feared a serial killer was moving across America. The surviving victim in Green Bay said she was attacked by two Latino men. She clearly described their appearance, and police sketched composite portraits. A local farmer recognized them as hired workers, Juan Nip and Gregory Morales. Police discovered one of them had visited Las Cruces multiple times, where Katie was murdered. All signs pointed to a connection between the two cases. But before they could collect DNA samples, the two men suspected they were being followed and fled Green Bay. After several weeks of searching, an anonymous tipster reported their location in Atlanta, Georgia. Police arrested both and took DNA samples for comparison. But the results were completely disappointing. No match. They weren't connected to Katie's murder. 2 years had passed. The case hit another dead end. Part 8. A mother who never gave up. Investigators reviewed all old files, 3 boxes of records, examining every photo, every detail. But they found no new leads. Police faced public pressure, but had no clear direction. Throughout this time, Katie Sepich never gave up. She continuously spoke to the media, emphasizing the importance of DNA testing. The only powerful evidence we have is the killer's DNA. If that sample matches anyone in the national database, we'll know immediately, Katie said. The Sepich family offered a $50,000 reward for information about the killer, later increasing it to $100,000. They even placed a hidden camera at Katie's grave, hoping the killer would appear and confess, as often seen in criminal psychology. But no one came. Part 9. The Breakthrough. After 3.5 years. December 18, 2006, 3.5 years after the murder, police received shocking news from the crime lab. They had found a matching DNA profile in the CODIS database. The name that appeared was Gabriel Avila. Gabriel Avila, 27, a Mexican national, was a criminal with a prior record. He had served time in New Mexico for robbery and sexual assault. But what enraged people most was this. Just 3 months after Katie's death, on November 13, 2003, Avila had been arrested again. That night, Avila, armed with a knife, broke into the apartment of 2 female students, intending to sexually assault them. Fortunately, the 2 women locked themselves in the bathroom and called 911. Police caught him, but never collected a DNA sample because the law at that time didn't require it. When people learned the killer had been arrested but released, a wave of outrage swept through Las Cruces. The question arose, if police had taken Avila's DNA sample then, would the case have been solved sooner? Were there other victims harmed by him during those 3 years? Worse still, after being arrested in November 2003, Avila was convicted in March 2004 for armed burglary with intent to assault. But when released on bond, awaiting transfer to prison, he escaped. For 14 months, Avila lived as a fugitive, continuing to pose a threat to society. It wasn't until November 2004 that police caught him again for other crimes: theft of rental property, resisting arrest, and fraud. This time, he was transferred to a New Mexico state prison. And only while in prison was his DNA sample finally collected according to regulations. But it wasn't until November 2005 that the DNA sample was entered into the system. And more than another year later, in December 2006, the comparison results were finally completed. If Avila's DNA had been collected during his first arrest in November 2003, justice for Katie would have come in just 90 days, not 277 days. 4. Part 10. The Chilling Confession. After identifying the killer, investigator Mike Mayer wanted to understand more about Avila. He met with Avila's ex-wife, and she revealed a surprising detail. She once found a diamond ring in Avila's vehicle. Initially thinking it was a gift for her, the ring didn't fit. When she learned about Katie's case, she realized it was the engagement ring. Mayer went to the jail to meet Avila. He presented the ring, laid out the DNA evidence, and said, "If you want to reduce your sentence, confess." Gabriel Avila broke down. He asked, "Where did you get that ring?" And then began his statement. The confession chilled everyone. Avila said that on the night of August 30th, 2003, he was driving his pickup truck looking for cocaine in Katie's neighborhood, while his wife was out of town. After leaving a drug dealer's house, he almost ran over Katie, who was walking on the street. He saw Katie a second time when she was standing in front of her house, trying to climb through the window. Avila stopped and asked, "Do you need help?" Katie replied, "I just can't get into my house. I left my purse behind." But she refused his help. According to his statement, Avila drove away, but then returned, lurked, and attacked Katie when she was off guard. She put up a little bit of a fight, and for some reason, I decided I was going to strangle her. Put my hands around her neck. I locked and I couldn't let go, he confessed. Avila raped Katie, strangled her to death, then loaded her body into his pickup truck bed and drove to the abandoned landfill. He poured gasoline on her and set her on fire, thinking the flames would erase all traces. But he was wrong. The DNA evidence remained, enough to convict him. Katie couldn't scream because of her medical condition, a detail the family didn't publicly disclose. The roommate's mother was sleeping in the house, just meters away, but had no idea the tragedy was unfolding outside. Part 11. The Verdict. On May 7, 2007, Gabriel Avila pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, rape, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. He was sentenced to 69 years in prison without parole. This case would not have been solved without the DNA sample. This guy was not on anyone's radar screen, Katie Sepich told reporters in 2006. Avila was a complete stranger to Katie. There was no previous connection between them, It was a random, fateful encounter, an event that could happen to anyone. According to 2016 information, Avila would be eligible for parole around 2043 after serving 30 years. But the likelihood of release is very low due to the severity of the crimes. Part 12. The Legal Legacy, Katie's Law. The Katie Sepich case wasn't just a personal tragedy, but became a symbol of systemic failures in the American criminal justice system of the early 2000s. Katie's parents, Dave and Jayan Sepich, didn't drown in grief. They transformed their loss into motivation to change the system. They realized that if the law mandated DNA collection when arresting felony suspects, Avila would have been identified in November 2003, just 3 months after Katie's death. They began a campaign across America. Jayan traveled to every state, every city, telling Katie's story and emphasizing the importance of early DNA collection. "We're not doing this for Katie anymore. We're doing it for all potential victims," Jayan said. Katie's Law at the state level. In January 2006, Katie's Law was passed in New Mexico, becoming the first state to require mandatory DNA collection from those arrested for certain felony arrests. By 2018, over 31 states nationwide had passed similar laws. Katie's Law at the federal level. In 2010, the Katie Sepich Enhanced DNA Collection Act was passed by the U.S. Congress. In 2013, President Barack Obama signed it into law, providing federal funding for states to expand DNA collection systems. Practical effectiveness. By 2016, New Mexico alone recorded 1,050 successful DNA matches thanks to Katie's Law, many of which led to convictions for rape and murder. Nationwide, this law has helped arrest thousands of criminals and prevented countless potential crimes. It's estimated that thousands of lives have been saved through early identification of dangerous criminals before they could strike again. The Katie Sepich case reminds us all that justice doesn't come naturally. It requires courage, perseverance, and sometimes sacrifice. But if those who've been hurt are willing to transform their pain into action, every tear can become a current that cleanses the system. Katie didn't come back, but she left behind a living legacy, not in tears, but in law, in the DNA database system, in criminals being brought to light faster, and in the hearts of those who still believe justice is real. Katie's death was a wake-up call, a painful but necessary lesson. A lesson that even one day's delay can allow evil to commit another atrocity, and a lesson that every citizen, every family, no matter how small, can change the entire system if they don't give up. For Katie, for justice, and for thousands of other nameless victims, Katie's Law is proof of the power of determination. Thank you for following the case files. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to the channel, hit like, and leave a comment. Share this video so more people can learn about Katie Sepich's legacy. See you in the next episode, where we continue to uncover the truth behind shocking cases.